Oh, okay, so you want to talk about the abandonment wound and CPTSD? Are you sure? Because it gets deep. Like literally, the abandonment wound gets deep. Abandonment wound. First of all, I got to get a Chips Ahoy out of my teeth because I ate like 3 bags of the little mini ones. They should just make like a large mini one, like 3 bags in one. But that's beside the point. Today's video is about CPTSD and the abandonment wound, and why the abandonment wound usually is at the root of all CPTSDers. What does that mean? I'm going to explain what it means if you give me a second. Okay, one, go. So first of all, what is CPTSD for all my new viewers, and for all my old viewers? I'm sorry, just got to do a review because I never know where these videos are going to end up. They could end up on this side of the world or that side of the world. So just a quick overview. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder. That's what that stands for. We say CPTSD or complex trauma, whichever one you like to say. I'm so used to saying CPTSD that I can just say it like in one take. CPTSD. Sounds like a word, but it's really an acronym. So complex post-traumatic stress disorder is exposure to prolonged trauma over many years, right? So usually it typically happens in childhood when you've been exposed to a primary caretaker or caretakers that you couldn't escape from, and they caused you emotional abuse, physical abuse, or sexual abuse, and everywhere in between. And because you couldn't escape from this trauma, the trauma got trapped in your body. Therefore, it led to developmental trauma as well as complex trauma. Developmental trauma basically means when you're developing that beautiful squishy part of your head, the brain. Well, when that's developing, it takes on that trauma, and the reasons of the brain develop with that trauma and that nervous system dysregulated. But complex trauma doesn't necessarily have to happen in childhood. It can happen in your teenage years if you experience prolonged trauma and you couldn't escape, or you're in a domestic violence situation, or you're held captive for whatever reason. We have CPTSD out of the bag, right? What is the abandonment wound? So the abandonment wound usually comes from when you're a child and you were around a caretaker or caretakers who didn't meet your needs. Your needs were conditional. In other words, you had to do something in order to get love or in order to get any type of attention, because you don't have to necessarily get love from your abuser. You can just get basic needs met because you perform or you don't perform and don't act a certain way, and it's very strict and conditioned. And so when you grow up in that kind of environment, it's not healthy. And that tells a child one thing: I'm not lovable. In order for me to obtain love and receive love, I have to cater to the needs of the grown-up.
Hey, Mom, can you please love me?
The primary caretaker should be in tune with the care needs of the child, not the other way around, because love needs to be unconditional if you want a child to grow up healthy with a developed, beautiful, normal brain and not complex trauma. So as you grow older and you develop complex trauma from being around an abusive environment, your brain literally tells everything, right? Your nervous system and your brain just start sending signals to each other that we're not lovable. No one can love us unless we perform, unless we act a certain way, unless we people please, unless we take our needs, put them to the side and say, fuck you, we don't matter. But your needs, yes, I'm going to just appease and fall into everything you do because you have to love me. But here's a conundrum. When people do start to get close to you and you can feel that closeness coming, you go, nah, I'm good. And so you either freeze, you brick wall someone, like extreme, right? It's all or nothing, and you want nothing to do with that person because that connection is extremely foreign. In the past, that connection only came when the love was conditional. You had to do something in order to receive that love. You had to be quiet while your dad was on a drug binge in order to not get beat. And so you weren't trying to make any noise, and you weren't trying to receive any attention. And so now that you're older and you have this hot man checking you out and you've been on a date for like 4 or 5 weeks, and once you start to feel that connection and this person understands you, you go, nah, I'm good. My abandonment wound said, I can't love you because I don't love myself. And so at the stem of the abandonment wound is the lack of love you feel for the self. Okay, Joe, I think we get it. Now, can we move on on how to heal that abandonment wound? I'm so glad you asked that, because in order to heal the abandonment wound, you have to address that you have an abandonment wound. Have you been self-sabotaging relationships lately? Do you not allow yourself to be close to people? When people start getting close to you, do you give them the Heisman and be like, I'm good, buddy, you can go that way and I'm going to go this way, because you're not going to love me, because you're not going to find out that I don't love myself. If you're doing things of that nature, then you have to address the abandonment wound. You have to talk to it and say, oh, this is the abandonment wound trying to self-sabotage, because the abandonment wound thinks we don't still love our 5-year-old self, even though we're 40. You're 40, buddy. You can love yourself now. What I've done and what I teach a lot of my clients to do, and what the science says, is in order to address the abandonment wound, you have to reconnect with your younger former self. And the way I do that is through I tell myself actively, I'm lovable, I'm good enough, and I hug myself. From time to time, I say, dude, you've been through a lot. You're beautiful. You're awesome. You're great. Okay, that's great, because now my logical brain, my prefrontal cortex, sends the signals to the other parts of the brain and goes, yeah, he's lovable, he's cool, he's great. And little boy, deep down inside, you don't have to feel that hurt. Another thing I do is I allow myself to cry. Because I am more advanced in my healing journey, when I think about my past and the little boy that was hurt and traumatized, if I feel like crying, oh my God, I cry and I hug myself and I tell myself I was good enough. I was really beautiful. I didn't deserve that. You don't have to treat yourself like that. You can love other people. You can love yourself. And so as I'm allowing myself to cry and say these positive things to my little boy who was stuck in there traumatized, over time, my nervous system goes, oh, okay, we can discharge this trauma from our body, because that's where the trauma lives. It lives within your nervous system, and then your prefrontal cortex and your hippocampus and your amygdala and your dorsal vagus, like all that other stuff, it follows suit. And so once you expand your window of tolerance from your nervous system standpoint, the trauma no longer has the same kind of power. So now I can talk about my childhood and how I got beat up and not just like disassociate, right? And now I can let people get closer to me and not go, nah, I'm good. And so when you start to do these affirmations, when you start to do these exercises where you caress yourself, you give yourself self-love, you tell that little boy or that little girl that you were lovable, you didn't deserve that, you start to see how your window of tolerance grows. Your nervous system no longer responds to all this undischarged energy, and your brain starts to get the message like, we can calm the fuck down because life is getting better. We love ourselves now. Another exercise I like to do is a body scan. In the morning, sometimes I wake up and I'm just feeling kind of emotional. And I'm like, why? And that's my repression barrier, if you believe in the psychodynamic part of it, that just lets out all these memories that come out through the night. And sometimes those memories, even though they're unconscious, they still make you feel a certain kind of way. And so if I feel sad, I'm like, oh, that's my little boy, my inner child that's waking up to the day thinking he's still trapped 35 years ago now. And so what I do is I go, oh, little boy, you need a hug. Got it. Okay. I name it, I let myself breathe, and then I start to body scan. Okay, I'm feeling a little tense in my head. I'm feeling a little tension in my eyes. My mouth feels okay. My chest is really sore and not sore, but tense. My throat is kind of clammy. My body generally feels a little tense. And so I just breathe into it. Do a rescan. I'm good. Let it go. Let the tension go. Let's breathe. Let's let the tension go. Sometimes I tighten it up and then I let it loose and it just goes, right? And all that's done without judgment or without too much logical, rational thinking. It's anxiety, tense, tight release, tight release. And again, that's going to discharge the trauma from my body over time, which is somatic, or soma, which means the body and how it feels. Essentially, I'm body scanning. I'm doing positive affirmations. I'm shaking. I love to shake. And that is, again, going to discharge that energy. And I love to journal about my childhood, but in a very positive way. Hey, little boy, I love you. I'm still thinking about you. You were awesome. You've been through so much. You overcame so much. You do all those exercises in time, you're going to realize, holy shit, I can actually speak about my trauma and this hideous events that happened to me when I was a kid or when I was a teen or when I was a young adult, whatever it was. And it doesn't have a hold on me. It's basically retraining yourself to tell yourself that, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Abandonment Wound, you no longer have control over me. I'm good. I'm lovable. I love people. I love my kids. I love my relationships. I love my wife. I love my husband. I love my church, my temple, my mosque, Whatever it is, you allow yourself to give love and receive. And it's hard at first, but with a lot of practice, like anything else, it gets easier. It's like going to the gym. If I go to the gym and do like chest on one day and then I don't see any pecs popping out. Bro, you went there one day. Keep showing up and it gets easier. But I need you guys to leave that like, leave that comment, and leave your subscription because you guys are awesome. And on that note, I'm going to turn myself off. Oh, I missed.